Listen carefully. Most people don't fail because they're stupid. They fail because they hesitate. They wait. They overthink. They plan their lives into the grave. And while they're waiting for the right moment, someone else is taking their place. Today is not about motivation. Motivation is weak. Today is about a decision. This year, I choose action. Let me be brutally honest with you. Nobody is coming to save you. No perfect opportunity, no magic phone call, no lucky break. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. You can have dreams, ideas, intelligence, talent, but without action, you are nothing but noise. Action is the difference between the man who talks and the man who wins. You don't need more time. You need more courage. Courage to move when you're scared. Courage to work when you're tired. Courage to look stupid while you learn. Every winner you admire was once unprepared, uncertain, and uncomfortable, but they moved anyway. Action beats confidence. Action creates confidence. This year, I'm done negotiating with my excuses. No more, I'll start Monday. No more, I'm not ready yet. Ready is a lie we tell ourselves to feel safe. Progress lives on the other side of discomfort. When you act even imperfectly, the universe responds. Doors open, skills sharpen, weakness dies. Understand this. Discipline is choosing pain now instead of regret later. Action is waking up early when your body begs you to sleep. Action is doing the work when nobody is clapping. Action is stacking small wins every day until your life has no choice but to change. That's how power is built. Quietly, relentlessly. Most people want results without sacrifice. That's fantasy. This year, I choose to earn it. I choose to outwork my past self. I choose pressure over comfort, responsibility over excuses, action over endless thinking, because every second spent hesitating is a second handed to someone hungrier. Action creates power because power is never given to people who wait. Power is earned by those who move while others hesitate. The moment you take action, even small, imperfect action, you step into a different category of human being. Most people live in their heads, trapped in ideas, plans, and imaginary futures. They feel productive because they are thinking, but nothing changes. Action is the switch that turns thought into reality. Without it, intelligence is wasted and potential rots. Here's the hard truth. The world does not care what you know. It only responds to what you do. You can read 100 books, watch 1,000 videos, and talk endlessly about your goals, but none of that creates momentum. Momentum is born when your feet move, when your hands work, when your effort becomes visible. Action forces reality to respond. It sharpens your instincts, exposes your weaknesses, and builds skills that thinking alone never can. That's where real power begins. Action also destroys fear. Fear survives in stillness. It grows when you overanalyze, when you imagine worst-case scenarios, when you delay. The second you act, fear loses oxygen. You realize the danger was exaggerated, the difficulty manageable, and the pain temporary. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. People who look confident aren't special. They've just acted enough times to know they can handle pressure. Action trains the nervous system to stay calm under stress, and that calm is power. Every serious advantage in life is built through repetition of action. Strength comes from lifting, not from watching workouts. Money comes from execution, not ideas. Respect comes from results, not promises. Action compounds. One move today makes the next move easier tomorrow. Miss a day and hesitation creeps back in. Stack days of action and suddenly you're operating at a level others can't understand. They'll ask how you changed so fast, but the truth is simple. You didn't wait. Action separates leaders from followers. Followers need instructions, Permy. Scion, reassurance. Leaders move first, adjust later. They don't need perfect conditions because they create conditions by acting. While others wait for clarity, action creates clarity. While others wait for confidence, action builds it. The fastest way to figure things out is to move and correct course in real time. Stillness teaches nothing. Movement teaches everything. There is also a darker truth most people avoid. Inaction is a decision. When you don't act, you're choosing weakness. You are choosing to let circumstances control you. Life rewards urgency, not comfort. The people at the top aren't always the smartest. They're the most aggressive with their time and effort. They understand that every day you delay, someone else is gaining ground. Action is not just progress. It's defense. Once you commit to action, your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants and start seeing yourself as someone who does. That identity shift is powerful. Your standards rise. Your excuses sound embarrassing. You stop negotiating with yourself because action has become normal. And when action becomes normal, results become inevitable. The uncomfortable truth is this: you already know what to do. You don't need more information. You need to move. Action is the language of winners. It's loud. It's undeniable. And once you start acting consistently, you stop chasing power. Power starts following you. Excuses are a form of self-betrayal because they feel harmless, logical, even responsible, but they quietly sabotage your future. An excuse is not just a reason, it's a decision to stay the same. The danger is that excuses rarely sound weak. They sound intelligent, they sound practical, they wear the mask of common sense while draining ambition from the inside. And the longer you accept them, the more normal stagnation becomes. Every excuse begins with comfort. Now isn't the right time. I need more preparation. Once things settle down. These phrases don't protect you from failure, they protect you from effort. They are fear translated into polite language. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it sounds like patience. Sometimes it sounds like being realistic. That's why excuses are so effective. They don't feel like quitting, but they produce the same result. Here's the uncomfortable hook. Every excuse you make is a promise you break to yourself, and broken promises destroy self-trust. Once self-trust is gone, confidence collapses. You stop believing your own goals because experience has taught you that you won't follow through. This is how capable people end up living far below their potential, not because they lack ability, but because they've trained themselves to retreat. Excuses also create a false narrative where you are always the victim of timing, circumstances, or other people. This mindset is addictive. It removes responsibility, and responsibility is heavy. But without responsibility, there is no control. When you blame external factors, you give away your power. You tell the world that your life is decided by conditions instead of decisions. That might feel easier in the short term, but it guarantees frustration in the long term. Notice how excuses always protect the ego. If you don't try, you can't fail. If you delay, you can still believe you would have succeeded under different conditions. Excuses preserve pride at the cost of progress. Real growth demands the opposite, risking embarrassment, risking mistakes, risking temporary failure. The people who win are not immune to fear. They simply refuse to let fear dictate their actions. Another brutal truth is that excuses compound. One excuse makes the next easier. Skip today, and skipping tomorrow feels justified. Delay once, and delay becomes a habit. Over time, excuses don't just stop progress. They redefine your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who acts and start seeing yourself as someone who explains. And explanation is cheap. Results are rare. Excuses also poison discipline. Discipline thrives on clear standards. Excuses blur those standards. They create loopholes where effort becomes optional and comfort becomes acceptable. Once loopholes exist, consistency dies. And without consistency, talent is irrelevant. The world is full of talented people who talk themselves out of greatness, one excuse at a time. The most dangerous part is that excuses feel invisible when everyone around you uses them too. Society normalizes delay, mediocrity, and taking it easy. But normal doesn't mean right. Normal just means common. Progress has never been built by people who blend in. It's built by those who look unreasonable to the average mind. People who act when others justify waiting. Eliminating excuses doesn't mean being reckless. It means being honest. Honest about what you're avoiding. Honest about the cost of inaction. Honest about the fact that waiting rarely makes things easier. It usually makes them heavier. The moment you stop negotiating with your excuses, something shifts. Your energy sharpens. Your standards rise. You move with urgency because you understand what excuses truly are: a slow, silent betrayal of the life you could have lived. Discomfort is the entry fee to success, and the problem is not that people don't know this. The problem is that they try to bypass it. Everyone wants growth without tension, rewards without resistance, progress without pressure. But that version of success does not exist. The moment you decide to improve your life, discomfort shows up as the price of admission. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not moving forward. You're standing still and calling it patience. Here's the hook most people miss. Comfort is not neutral. Comfort is a slow sedative. It numbs urgency, dulls ambition, and quietly convinces you that tomorrow is guaranteed. Discomfort, on the other hand, keeps you alert. It forces focus. It demands presence. When something is hard, you pay attention. When something is uncomfortable, you grow. That's why every meaningful upgrade in life feels heavy at first. Discomfort exposes weakness, and that's exactly why people avoid it. Weakness hurts the ego. It reminds you that you're not as capable as you thought yet. But avoiding weakness doesn't remove it, it preserves it. The only way to eliminate weakness is to confront it repeatedly until it loses its power. Every time you choose the harder option, you're not just building skill, you're building tolerance. And tolerance for discomfort is a competitive advantage. Think about it. The difference between average and elite is not intelligence or luck, it's pain tolerance. The ability to stay consistent when it's boring, exhausting, or frustrating. The ability to perform when motivation disappears. Most people quit not because something is impossible, but because it's uncomfortable for longer than they expected. They misinterpret discomfort as a warning sign instead of a growth signal. Discomfort also clarifies priorities. When things are easy, effort is scattered. When things are hard, distractions disappear. Pressure strips life down to what matters. That's why people often discover their real strength during difficult periods, not comfortable ones. Comfort hides character. Discomfort reveals it. You find out who you are when quitting feels justified, but you continue anyway. Another truth most won't admit is that discomfort is temporary, but regret is permanent. The pain of discipline has an expiration date. The pain of inaction compounds. Pushing yourself today hurts, but it ends. Avoiding effort feels good today, but it costs you tomorrow, next year, and 10 years from now. Discomfort paid up front is far cheaper than regret paid over a lifetime. High performers don't wait for discomfort to disappear. They train themselves to function inside it. They don't ask, how do I make this easier? They ask, how do I become stronger? That me. Set shift changes everything. When you stop trying to escape discomfort and start using it, pressure becomes fuel instead of friction. There's also a quiet confidence that comes from embracing discomfort. When you repeatedly do things that challenge you, fear loses credibility. You stop panicking when things get hard because hard has become familiar. You've been there before. You've survived it. That confidence is not loud, but it's unshakable. It comes from evidence, not hype. The uncomfortable path is rarely crowded. Most people turn around the moment things get difficult. That's why discomfort is such a powerful filter. It removes competition. When you're willing to stay in the pressure zone, you automatically rise above the majority without needing permission or validation. If your life feels stagnant, look at where you're choosing comfort over challenge. Growth lives exactly where you're resisting. Discomfort isn't punishment, it's instruction. It's telling you that you're at the edge of your current limits, and edges are where expansion begins. Discipline beats motivation every single time because motivation is unreliable, fleeting, and emotionally driven, while discipline is steady, measurable, and unstoppable. Most people confuse motivation with progress. They wait for the perfect mood, the ideal inspiration, or that sudden spark of energy to start. They believe that motivation will carry them forward, that excitement will be enough to finish what they started. That's why most dreams never leave the planning stage. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline shows up whether you feel like it or not, and that's what separates winners from spectators. Here's the first hook. Motivation is a chemical reaction, discipline is a lifestyle. Motivation depends on outside factors, videos, speeches, compliments, or temporary excitement, but discipline depends only on your own commitment. Discipline doesn't care about emotions. It doesn't ask if you're tired, stressed, or scared. Discipline is showing up when no one is watching, when the room is quiet, and when every part of you wants to quit. That's how real progress is made. Discipline also creates freedom. It sounds counterintuitive, but the more you commit to structured effort, the less you are controlled by circumstance. Motivation is reactive. It waits for conditions to be favorable, for excitement to arrive. Discipline is proactive. It defines your path and forces results regardless of external conditions. People who rely on motivation are slaves to chance, but disciplined people are architects of their own destiny. One of the most powerful hooks about discipline is that it compounds invisibly. Doing one hard thing consistently might feel insignificant today, but over weeks, months, and years, it builds a foundation others can't see. Reading daily, training daily, executing small wins consistently. Each action alone is small, but together they form unstoppable momentum. Motivation might give you a single burst of energy, but discipline turns effort into habit, habit into identity, and identity into mastery. Discipline also shields you from failure caused by inconsistency. Most people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but because they are inconsistent. Motivation fades, distractions appear, and effort becomes optional. Discipline creates a framework where effort is mandatory. You don't have to feel like doing the work because your system ensures it gets done anyway. That's how top performers dominate fields where others struggle to survive. Another truth many ignore is that discipline strengthens willpower. The more you practice self-control and structured effort, the more your mind accepts challenges instead of avoiding them. It's like a muscle. The more you train it, the heavier loads you can carry without breaking. Motivation alone doesn't develop this resilience. Motivation is explosive but temporary. Discipline is gradual and permanent. Discipline is also the ultimate equalizer. Anyone can be motivated on a good day, but discipline levels the playing field when circumstances are harsh, life is unpredictable, stressful, and often unfair. Motivation disappears under pressure. Discipline remains. Winners don't wait for perfect conditions. They create results under pressure because their discipline has already set the foundation. The final hook is this: motivation is the spark, discipline is the fire. Sparks flare up, crackle, and die. Fires burn consistently, warm everything around them, and reshape the landscape. The people who achieve extraordinary results aren't the ones who feel inspired every day. They are the ones who commit to doing what needs to be done every day, whether they feel like it or not. That's why discipline always wins in the long game. When you rely on discipline instead of motivation, you stop negotiating with your emotions, stop waiting for a sign, and start producing results. You move beyond temporary excitement and enter a life ruled by consistency, efficiency, and unstoppable momentum. Motivation may start the engine, but discipline drives it to the finish line. Small actions compound into dominance because success is rarely the result of one monumental effort. It is the accumulation of countless small, deliberate moves over time. Most people look for instant results, chasing big wins and dramatic breakthroughs, but life doesn't work that way. Momentum is built quietly, almost invisibly, in the repetition of consistent effort. Every small decision you make today, every call you make, every workout you complete, every page you read, every extra hour you work adds up. These actions, tiny and seemingly insignificant in isolation, compound into something unstoppable. Here's the first hook. Small actions are deceptive because they feel easy and safe, but they are where real winners separate themselves from the crowd. While others are waiting for perfect timing, you are stacking victories in silence. Those who underestimate the power of small actions often miss the tipping point, failing to realize that dominance is not sudden. It is inevitable when effort is compounded. One small step taken consistently beats a giant leap attempted once, and abandoned compounding works because results follow patterns, not events. Every action influences the next. A single disciplined habit leads to another, creating a chain reaction. One sales call leads to more opportunities. One workout builds strength and confidence. One disciplined study session increases skill, which leads to better performance. Over time, these chains multiply, creating a force far greater than the sum of its parts. The magic of compounding is invisible until it reaches critical mass, and by then, you are leagues ahead of anyone who relied on sporadic effort or big moments. Here's a hook most people miss. Small actions also build confidence, which fuels even bigger actions. Momentum is not just physical, it is psychological. When you consistently follow through on commitments, no matter how minor they seem, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That trust turns into belief, belief turns into courage, and courage allows you to tackle challenges others avoid. This is how dominance is established, by those who quietly stack actions while the world waits for inspiration. Consistency in small actions is also a safeguard against unpredictability. Life throws obstacles, setbacks, and surprises. Large, risky efforts can fail spectacularly if conditions change, but small actions are resilient. They create a safety net of progress, a buffer that keeps you moving forward even when circumstances are difficult. Every day that you invest in disciplined effort is a day that builds insurance against failure. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary, through tiny, relentless accumulation. The hook you cannot ignore is that small actions are contagious. One productive choice sparks another. One decision to push past resistance leads to multiple wins in other areas. Momentum is infectious, and once it starts, it becomes increasingly difficult for competitors or circumstances to catch up. The person who understands compounding doesn't chase overnight success. They engineer unstoppable, gradual dominance. Small actions also redefine identity. When you act consistently, you stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes for results and start seeing yourself as someone who produces them. Your habits shape your character shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. Dominance isn't just external, it is internal, rooted in a pattern of disciplined behavior that compounds invisibly until it becomes inevitable. Finally, the critical hook: patience without action is useless, but action without patience compounds exponentially. People quit too early, expecting immediate results and giving up when they don't appear. Those who embrace the process, who understand that every small, deliberate action matters, eventually reach a level of dominance that feels effortless, but only because they invested when no one was watching. Compounding turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes, and dominance is simply the natural result of consistent, relentless small actions stacked over time. This year is about proof, not promises, because words alone are cheap and intentions without action are worthless. Most people live their lives announcing their plans, explaining their goals, and justifying their ambitions, but nothing changes. Promises are easy to make. They require no effort, no sacrifice, no accountability. Proof, on the other hand, demands action, results, and visible progress. It's the difference between talking about being great and actually being great. That's why those who focus on proof rise above the noise. The world only respects what can be measured, not what is imagined. Here's the first hook: promises are a trap. They allow you to feel productive without being effective. Saying, "I will start tomorrow, I'm going to achieve this," or "I'll handle it soon," is psychologically satisfying, but it accomplishes nothing. Every moment spent promising is a moment lost in building real results. Proof, however, requires presence, effort, and accountability. It forces you to move past excuses, hesitation, and the illusion of planning straight into execution. Proof changes perception because it is undeniable. People don't remember what you said, they remember what you did. Actions create impact, and impact commands attention. When you produce tangible results, people stop questioning your ability. Doubt fades in the face of evidence. That is the power of proof. It removes debate, silences criticism, and establishes credibility instantly. Words can be ignored, but results cannot. Another hook is that proof builds internal confidence that promises never can. Making promises feeds hope, but hope is fragile. Acting consistently and producing results builds an unshakable belief in yourself. Each success, no matter how small, validates your ability to handle bigger challenges. Motivation follows proof, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel ready. You act, you succeed, and that success fuels further action. Proof also compels respect from others. In life, influence is earned, not requested. People are drawn to those who produce outcomes, who get results, who deliver under pressure. Promises create expectations that can be broken. Proof eliminates doubt and forces recognition. Those who focus on proof instead of words become leaders, trendsetters, and decision makers, not because they declared it, but because their work speaks louder than anyone's opinion. The hook most people miss is that proof creates a feedback loop. Every action you take, every result you achieve, teaches you something new. You learn what works, what fails, and how to improve. Promises teach nothing. They are theoretical. Proof is experiential. Each completed task, each visible achievement compounds your skill, sharpens your judgment, and accelerates your growth. This is how ordinary effort transforms into extraordinary results. Focusing on proof over promises also eliminates excuses. When you are committed to demonstrating results, delay and hesitation become unacceptable. Excuses lose their power because every day becomes an opportunity to act, improve, and deliver. Proof forces accountability both to yourself and to the world, and accountability is the engine of transformation. Here's a final hook. Proof is magnetic. Results attract opportunities, partnerships, resources, and influence. People who deliver are sought after. People who promise are forgotten. Proof creates momentum that promises alone cannot generate. When you focus on tangible outcomes rather than empty talk, The universe starts responding. Doors open, opportunities multiply, and your life shifts into a new trajectory. Proof is also liberating. It frees you from the trap of needing validation or approval because your results speak for themselves. You stop explaining, negotiating, or convincing. Your work proves your value. The gap between intention and impact disappears. Every action that produces measurable progress moves you closer to dominance, mastery, and control over your future. In a world full of talkers, focusing on proof ensures you are seen, heard, and respected because nothing is more compelling than evidence. So remember this moment. Remember this decision. When fear shows up, move. When doubt speaks, act louder. When the world tells you to wait, you step forward. This is the year I stop watching and start building. This is the year I stop talking and start proving. This year, I choose action. And action changes everything.